Hey guys, my name is Dexter Clark. Have you ever wondered what all those buttons were for on your DJM 900 Nexus mixer? Well, this video is for you. We're gonna go over all the DJM 900 Nexus 2 features in this video. Let's start at the left top of the mixer. There you can find my USB connections. You can use USB for input and for output. For example, I'm using my USB for output from my mixer to my computer. You can record your mixtapes with that. Everything that you're doing with your mixer is recorded into the computer. You can use it as an input source for your computer, and Logic or any other DAW can record it. But you can also use it as an input. You can play something for example with Rekordbox, and you can put it in the mixer and you can select it as a source. You can make mixtapes with that. For example, also the audio that you're now hearing via my microphone, it's connected to my mixer, and my mixer, as you can see, it's plugged into socket B. Now let's take a look at the software that Pioneer provides with a mixer to connect it to your computer. In the software there are two relevant tab sheets. The first one being mixer input, so the signal that goes from your computer to your mixer, and the mixer output, so the signal from your mixer to your computer. Let's start at the mixer input tab sheet. So that's the signal that goes out from your computer to your mixer. But in which channel? Well, that's this tab sheet for. On the left side you'll see that there are a couple of decks, and those are the decks of your software, of your DJ software. Rekordbox DJ has 4 decks, and every deck generates an output signal. You can send that to different input sources on your mixer, and in this case USB 1 and 2. Those are 2 channels because there's one for left and one for right, so 2 mono signals. And in this case USB 1 and 2 are connected to USB socket B in channel 1. On the right over here it displays what is selected on your mixer, and you'll see that the arrow is blue over here, so that means it will receive signal from the software. This arrow is grayed out, and so channel 2, and that's because it's selected to digital, so no signal flows from your computer to your mixer. But I can change that, and you will see it will change in the software also. Let's look at channel 1. And of course you can do that for every channel. Now let's take a look at the next tab sheet, mixer output. This is the output that flows from your mixer back into your computer, and again on the left side we have the decks, so the 4 different inputs that can go into your DJ software. And also a record function, that's the record function of Rekordbox DJ. We can select over here which channel that has to correspond with which input on your computer. If I select channel 1 and 2 and pair it up as a stereo, you will notice that it is the post signal from channel 1. And post signal means that it's post fader, so the fader is taken into account. If it was pre-fader, you'll hear the music that is going in to that channel, but the fader won't do anything to that signal. In this case is post fader, so it will. You can set that for every channel of your mixer. And USB 9 and 10, I've set that to the mix record out. Mix record out means the master signal of your mixer, so what is flowing to the speakers, that is now flowing into input 9 and 10 from, for example, Logic. So if I want to record something, I have to select input 9 and 10 if I want to record the entire signal of the mixer that is going out of the mixer. When I just want channel 1, I have to select and pair it up as a stereo, input 1 and 2. So that's the software of Pioneer. Let's go back. The next function, the MIDI on off. It's below the USB sockets, and what it does is you can switch it off or on depending if you want it to be a MIDI controller. Yes, you heard it correct. You can use the mixer as a MIDI controller, for example, for your DAW. You can program all your knobs, but maybe you don't want that, and then you can switch it off. You can use it as a MIDI controller for USB socket A or USB socket B, or both together. Next up is the mic. Well, you're hearing the mic right now. As you can see, I turned it up because I wanted to do a video with the voice of the microphone louder than the music. What you can do is you can connect two microphones and you can regulate the volume, of course, with this button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Of course, you can do that with microphone 2 also. You can give it a boost, a gain boost in certain frequencies, and we can test it out. For example, my S's will get less annoying. S's are annoying, 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 S's are really annoying. And with the low knob, you can lower or heighten the frequencies of the lower spectrum. When I'm doing my bass voice, and you will see and you will hear probably that it is getting less and less. Now I'm switching it up again and my low frequencies will boost. We're not there yet. There are some more functions for the microphone. For example, there is a button to switch the microphone on or off or to the talk over mode. When the talk over mode is activated, the LED flashes. What does the talk over mode do? Well, you can talk over the music. I'll give a demonstration. When I'm talking now and I activate my song, you will hear that when I'm talking, the volume of the music will lower. And that does talk over do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you switch it to on, you'll notice that I'm still, you still hear my voice, but when I'm activating the music, it will not dim the volume of the music. So I'm right now talking through to the music, and when I'm switching it to off, I'm switching it to on again. Let's go over to the effects section, the color effects section. We all know the filter effect, the high pass or the low pass filter. And of course that's present on the DJM 900. There are 6 filter effects: the space, the echo dub, the sweep, the noise, the crush and the filter. That's the high pass or the low pass filter. And there's also a parameter knob. The parameter knob, with the parameter knob you can regulate how intense that effect is. But on its own it does do nothing. So you have to also to use the color buttons on top of your channel strip. Let's do an example of the filter, the high pass and the low pass filter. Filter parameter is halfway. But the effect is more intense when I use the parameter. But we can also do a space function. Now let's do the echo dub. The sweep function. The noise function. The noise is just the white noise you'll hear in probably every track. You can use it for a build-up, for example. The noise function will also do its work without any music playing. And what some DJs do is, if you have two channels on your mixer, then they use the third channel, for example, for just the white noise effect. Okay. White noise, crush. And of course, the filter. Next up, the headphones section. The headphones section, this means that what you're hearing in your headphones. On top there is the link queue button. The link queue is the link that you have made with Rekordbox, and that is the link that you get from the UTP connection, the Pro DJ link. When you linked up with Rekordbox, then you can preview songs on Rekordbox and hear what's going on with that song. If it's off, you don't, of course, hear anything. If it's on, you'll hear what Rekordbox is playing. Make sure that you are in the DJ Link connection mode in Rekordbox. And your mixer tab will show a headphones icon when the link button on your mixer is pressed. Next up is the headphones section. The headphones section, the first button is the mono split or the stereo. What does that mean? Well, with a mono split, of course, you split signals from your left ear with your right ear. If you switch to stereo, you'll hear everything that is selected with your Q function. You'll hear everything from Rekordbox, your first channel or your second channel, or the master that is over here. Now you'll hear the master. But when you do a mono split, you'll hear something else on the left side than on the right side. On the right side, you can hear what is going on your master channel. So what is going out of your mixer, and on the left, the selected cue. You can use that, for example, to beat match just before you're turning your slider open. The mono split function is a bit tricky, and I'm trying to explain it. On my left player, a song is playing. I'll hear nothing because I have no cues selected. But when I'm selecting the cue from my master channel, I'll hear what my first player is doing. I have mono split. I hear on my right channel, I hear what the master is doing. But if my second player want to start in a song, I want to preview that also, and that I can do with a cue. And now I'm hearing on my left side my player that is on the right, and I hear the master that is playing on my right. That can be very confusing, I know, but when you're getting used to it, it can be very, very useful. I'm switching it back to stereo. I find that a lot easier to comprehend. The mixing button, that is the mixing that you do between the levels, between what you're hearing from your cues. For example, the master cue or the cues over here. When I'm turning the button to the left, then you'll only hear what is cueing now, even if my master is selected. I don't hear any master signal. I only hear channel 1, 2 and 4. And now only 1 and 2. But when I'm turning it to the middle, then I'll hear my master is selected. I only hear my master now. But when I'm switching on, and this is on my master, when I'm switching on my second channel, I'm turning player 2 on, it's spinning, I'll hear the master and I'm hearing my second player. In this case, I hear them both together. When I'm turning the knob all the way to the right, then I'm hearing only the master. But if I'm switching the master off, I don't hear anything. And last but not least, the level of your headphones. When I'm turning it up, probably if you have to turn it up to hear, you're already deaf. So we won't do that. I did an old video about damaging your ears. Check it out if you want to. Then there are 2 headphones connectors. You can connect 2 headphones at once. One with a mini jack connector and one with a normal jack connector. From my own experience, I can say that the mini jack connector is somewhat fragile. Yes, fragile on a professional mixer. Pioneer did a very bad job with that. A few months ago, I accidentally bumped into my headphone connector that was connected to the mixer on the mini jack connector, and it broke. And it had to go back to Pioneer. And since then, I only use the big connector. On your mixer there is a channel strip for every input channel on the device. And you have 4 faders, 4 input sources you can operate at the same time. You have your first channel, and this is the first channel strip that I have over here, and I hooked it up to my player on my left. I have my second channel strip, and that is for the second source, and I hooked it up to my right hand player, a third channel and a fourth channel. Let's start at the top of each channel. As you can see over here, this is the selection button of your input source. What source is coming into the channel? You have different inputs. Input A, input B, digital line, phono and return aux. A means USB connection A. And B, of course, means USB connection B, because you can hook it up to Rekordbox. And you can use Rekordbox as an input source for your mixer, or any other input source that you can select in a special software that Pioneer has provided that comes with the mixer. So that's USB A, that's socket A, USB B, that's socket B. Then we have the digital line. The digital line is the line input that you can use for, of course, a digital source. You can hook up your players via a digital connection, so there is no quality loss that you have when you have an analog signal. That analog signal that you can select over here, and that's the line signal. The digital signal has only one connector, one kinch connector, one tulip connector, as we call it in Holland. Analog signal has 2, because for the left channel and for the right channel. Then we have the phono connection. The phono connection means the record player, your old school vinyl record player. It has something to do with the amplification and the amplification of some frequencies, that there is a separate input source for your vinyl player. And last but not least, the return aux. Return aux is used for the special beat devices that Pioneer has. Those devices operate with the send and return functions. You have to send information, like the BPM is sent to that beat box thingy, and it comes back, and in which channel comes it back, so you can select it on your mixer. So that's the input source selection. I will put it on digital because my left player is hooked up to the digital signal. You have the trim of your input source, and in this case it's very low. You can also set the volume with your trim function. The use of that is that you can fully throw the fader open, and this one determines how loud the input volume really is. Of course, we all know the highs, the mids and the lows, so I won't go into that into detail. We already discussed the color knob, that is for the functions over here. The Q function, I already discussed that. Then we have a blue LED over here, and I will go into detail later on. Of course, your fader and your A, B and through input. What does that mean? Well, you can use, if you want, you can use the crossfader. And with the crossfader, that's used for scratching, as you probably know. And here you can set what is channel A and what is channel B. In this case, if I have 2 faders and I put them up like this, and I switch one as A, that's A, and one as B, then you'll see that the rings will light up. Red means that it works and white means that it's not. When you don't want to use the crossfader, then you'll set it on through. You can only use 2 input sources for your crossfader. Okay, of course that's the same for channel 2, channel 3 and channel 4. Then we have the master channel. Over here you have the master level. That's the overall output level of the mixer. There is nothing more bigger than the master level of your mixer. Over here you have your LEDs. That's displaying how loud the signal is, and I will load up a song. And as you can see, when I'm talking, the LEDs are already flashing. As you can hear, when I operate it, it will not have an effect on my Logic that is recording. It's the output of the speakers that go out of your mixer. Something I forgot to mention earlier, there is a clip LED. If your music is too loud, then it will clip. And the Nexus 2 has a marker for that. If it clips, it will light up. Of course, we have our balance. This is one side and this is the other. Of course, your cue again, the booth monitor. You can hook up separate speakers for your booth. And in this case, I've done that, but I'm not gonna activate it because my microphone is connected and it will sing. You have to take into account for that. The volume, you can turn it up or turn it down. Then we have a function that it's called EQ curve. What does that mean? Well, it has two possible positions, isolator and IQ. When isolator is selected, that means if you're doing some actions with your channels, then it isolates. I've no highs when I turn down the highs. I've no mids and no lows. When it's all turned down, you'll hear nothing of the track. When you selected the EQ, then the frequencies are influenced, but there's no total silence when the high, mids and lows are turned down. Then the channel fader. What is the EQ curve for the channel fader? The channel fader, those are these things over here. This is totally up, this is totally down, but as you probably know that each 6 dB in volume increase will double the volume of the signal. If you have a straight line when you're looking at the graph, then it's not a real straight line when it comes to audio. Do you want to fade with a curve that is steep at the back end? Or do you want to fade gradually? The sound gradually increases as the channel fader is moved away from the front side. Or do you want a curve that rises steeply in the front? Then the crossfader. Well, exactly the same story for the crossfader, but we have 2 channels. What do you want to do with those channels? Make a sharply increased curve. If the crossfader is moved away from the A side, audio signals are immediately output from the B side. Or do you want to make a curve shade between the 2 curves above and below? Or do you want to make a gradually increased curve? If the crossfader is moved away from the A side, the sound of the B side gradually increases, while the sound of the A gradually decreases. Over to the send and return function. Well, I have to admit I've never used it because I don't have such an equipment, so I can't tell you in full detail what it does. What I can tell you is that the send and return, you can set which input connection that it will have. Is it a jack connection or the USB? And that's this USB function. Return type, aux or insert, and the level of the send and return, and this is the function to switch it on or off. The last section is the effects section. With the effects section, you can of course apply effects, but on which channel or which source do you want to apply those effects? Well, you can select the input source over here. Do you want the crossfader source B, or do you want crossfader source A? Do you want the mic? And when you select the mic, it will light up a LED over here. When I select source 1, you will see that the beat effects LED over here will light on. Will I apply it to channel 2 or 3 or 4 maybe? Or do I want to apply it to the master? Something you have to take into account is that the crossfader B is now, there is no source selected applied to source B. But if I want to do channel 2 on B and channel A on source A, you will see that fader, when it's now source B is selected, that's fader 2, and you'll see that the beat effects over here is now light up. But if I select another source, for example, slider 3, channel 3, you'll see that it will light up over here. The same, of course, with crossfader A. Now it's selected here, but I can apply it to channel 4, and I set the through off. So this is source B, this is source A, and I apply it to source A, and the beat effects is now lit up over here. But which effect do you want to apply on that source? Well, you can set that over here with this turning knob. It's a delay, echo, ping pong, spiral, reverb, trance, filter, flanger, phaser, pitch, slip roll, roll, vinyl break or helix. Well, let's hear them step by step, function for function, but it won't do anything now because you have to activate it. When it's activated, you'll see that this light is flashing. This is a knob. If you press it, the effect is applied now. And if you want to switch it off, you have to switch it off this way. Well, let's hear it. You'll probably hear something, but not much. Well, that's because the level or depth is not set to very high. Okay, let's switch to echo. Let's switch to ping pong. Let's switch to spiral. Reverb, of course. Trance. Filter, that's the high and the low pass filter. Flanger. The phaser. And this is really bad, this is the pitch. And the pitch down is, well, somewhat okay, but the pitch up is really terrible. I'll reset the song. The slip roll The roll and the slip roll seem to do the same thing, only the slip roll, the song will progress, and with the roll it will not progress. The vinyl break. This is the same effect, just press the platter of the jog wheel. Okay, and the last one is the helix. But there's something we can do with those functions. At which frequency do you want to apply them? Now, only the mid and the high frequencies are infected. Mid frequency. Now the whole frequency spectrum is influenced. Nothing. High, mid, and low. Okay. For things like reverb, we can set a time, and you can set the time with this button. How long do you want to sustain? In this case, 90 milliseconds. You can consider this more as a volume button, and this how long you want to sustain, and in this case it's 100%. But you can also do that on beats, and in this case it will sync up with my player. My player is 130 beats, and it will sync up with my player 130 beats if the quantize function is on. Then it will automatically quantize with the players. But it's possible that or the BPM of the player isn't correct, or that you don't want that to use that function, and you can tap in the BPM over here. And you will see that I tapped in 108 BPM. We can also change the values of the, in this case, the reverb with the beat functions. And if it, in this case, we're working in milliseconds, but if we're working in, for example, the trance, that's the gate, then it's about beats. Now, one beat is applied when I press the, so every beat is tranced, but now 2 beats. Now 4 beats. Now half a beat, a quarter beat, 1/8, 16. But we can also use the X pad for that, and I accidentally touched it already. In this case, we can switch from 1 to 4. And in the case of a slip roll, for example, you can make build-ups with that. I have to switch it on. But you get the idea. You have some control over what you're gonna do. If you're tapping in or if it wants to resolve the BPM automatically, then you can use the auto tap function. Now auto is selected, so it automatically does the BPM for you, but if you want to tap it in, you can press the tap button and it's now tapping the displaying the tap over here. And that's really fast. And you can say if it has to use the quantize function, so it's exactly in the beat of what's going on over here. And with over here, I mean the players. But if you press that button longer than 2 seconds, you will see that it displays the menu. And this is something you're probably not familiar with. To enter a menu, you have to tap tap is enter. So tap is enter. If I want to go to the master out settings, it's the master out. I can it's the peak limiter, the at mono stereo. You can do the settings over here. Use tap is enter and auto is go back. Okay, this is the master out, the digital master out. I will just go into the menu. Tap the level, the sampling rate, the peak limiter, mono stereo. Okay. You can do the settings separately for the analog channel and the digital channel. Of course, the settings for the booth out, the mono stereo, will go back. The mic out to the master, peak limiter, threshold level. And in this case, if I want to set that, and you'll see that the lock is over here, so I won't change it. Let's go back. Mic out to booth, low cut mic, talk over, MIDI, OLED brightness, PC utility, auto standby, and the lock. There's an auto standby. Sometimes when you're not using it for a while, it will switch automatically off, and well, not off, but to the standby. You can wake it up with this function and with this button, and it says already over here, wake up. If it's going into sleep mode, press this button and it will wake up. And press the utility button to go back. Okay, but we have a backside too. And on the backside, of course, we have the power button to switch it on and off. We have the power connector. We have the ground signal for the phono, the record player, the real vinyl record player, the ground signal, the return, the right, the return, the left from the send and the return. And when we have a send and the return, we have a send, of course, the right channel, the left channel, and the mono. Over here, we have the phono connectors for channel 4. This is channel 4. This is channel 3, 2, and 1. The phono connectors, the analog connectors for the analog signal. Of course, the same for channel 3. Your record player, line, record player, line, record player, line, and of course another ground signal. Over here we have the master out, and that's the master out, the speakers master out from the mixer. So when you're spinning in a club, this is connected to your amplifier. Then we have the master 2 out, and that is the a kinch cable, tulip cable, the record out, the booth, and I've connected the booth, the right, the left. Over here we have the link, and the link is the UTP connection with your UTP hub. Of course, the digital master out, the mic, if you have a second microphone, the first microphone, and as you can hear it, I have plugged it in, the digital signal. And as you can see, I have used a normal kinch cable, normal tulip cable for my digital connections. Channel 2, channel 1, channel 4 and channel 3. This concludes this extended tutorial about the DJM 900 Nexus 2 mixer from Pioneer. I hope it was useful to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it was at any value to you, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button below to get notified when I'm uploading a new video. Thank you for watching, and until next time. Bye!